Welcome to Tuesday evening's Yoga with Fun. As always, your practice is at your own risk, so do pay attention to how your body's feeling, taking the right options for you, feeling free to miss anything out if it's not what your body needs tonight. We're going to start lying down, so when you're ready, taking yourself to a good lying down position. Hi Angelique, we're just lying down, ready to go. That might be Shavasana with your feet out to the corners, hands away from your body, palms turned up. Relaxing once you get there. And as you relax, it may feel like a bit of an indulgence to be lying down in the middle of the day at the start of an exercise type of class. But actually lying down and relaxing helps us to relax the muscles in the body. The more relaxed our muscles are, the more they're able to stretch. You can't stretch a tense muscle, you can only stretch a relaxed one. So this is that opportunity to start relaxing the muscles before we start to work. And it's also that chance to bring your awareness inside, leaving your day behind, knowing that whatever you need to attend to will still be there at the end of the class. Helping your attention to come inwards by taking your awareness to your breathing. So starting to feel that gentle rise in the body on the inhale and allowing it to subside on the exhale. You're aiming to be aware at any time of whether you're inhaling or whether you're exhaling. We'll help that a little by strengthening the breath, directing the expansion of the inhale down into your abdomen so that as you inhale your abdomen rises and as you exhale it gently falls. The more your abdomen's rising on the inhale, the more your diaphragm's driving your breath and making your breath the calmest, deepest, most effective way to breathe. We'll attach some movement, bringing your hands a little closer to your side, and as you next inhale, taking your arms up and overhead, stretching them up behind you. As you exhale, bringing your hands back over by your side. Keeping that movement going with your breath, inhaling your arms up and over, exhaling arms back to your side. Being aware of your breath, but also maybe just noticing the changes that go on, the very subtle movements in your body. So it's not just our arms going backwards and forwards and the movement at the shoulder blades. You'll just feel the back and the contact you have with the ground subtly shifts. You'll feel a bit of stretching coming on over your abdomen as your arms are up overhead. Hello Tess, when you're ready, just come to lying down, taking your arms up and over. And then next time your arms land above your head, holding them there. Bringing your feet together, stretching your fingertips to the wall above your head, pressing your toes to the wall that's below your feet. So you stretch out long, again noticing what that does to the skin over the front of your torso, to the contact your back has with the ground, stretching a little longer. Then as you next exhale, relax, bring your hands by your side, come slowly to sitting, and from sitting, onwards and upwards. Sorry, you've only just got down there, Tess. Onwards and upwards to standing, ready for our sun salutations. So standing at the top of your mat, feet together, crown of your head lifts as your feet press down. Shoulders back and down as the top of your chest lifts a little. Coming into that good active posture, hands relaxing by your side. 2 breaths as always before we start. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale as you bring your hands together at the centre of your chest, pressing all of your fingers and the whole of your palm together, lifting your elbows, relaxing your shoulders. Reaching your arms up, looking between them, stretch your arms and shoulders higher, taking your arms back, tilting the top of your chest to the ceiling, easing your abdomen, your navel forward towards the wall in front. From your hips, start to stretch forward. Keep your arms lifted as you come down, but when you need to, let your arms relax down, let your neck muscles relax. Allow everything in the upper body to rest down over the legs. Knees bent as much as you need, so your fingertips just make contact with the ground. Taking your right leg all the way back. Lower the knee, top of your foot flat on the ground, gaze lifts. Pressing down into the top of your right foot on the ground so your hips can come forward. Tucking your right toes under, send your left foot back. Our first plank. Hands push the ground away, your shoulders are over your wrists. Your navel's drawing gently to your spine, heels push away, letting your knees lift. Then your knees come down to the mat, lowering your chest to the ground. Make a contact with your chin, or if you can easily reach your forehead on the mat, then pressing forward, lift your face and lift your chest. Take your shoulders up and back, bring your elbows in close, easing your chest forward. Tucking your toes, taking your hips up, maybe taking them back to your heels first and then straightening your legs to come to down face dog. Hips are lifting on high, hands push down and heels push down. Maybe seeing if your chest can ease back towards your knees. It's our first one though, so go gently on this first one. Looking between your hands, bringing your right foot through. Find to bring both knees down first and then bring the foot through. Find also to give it a bit of assistance to come between your hands. Hips relaxing, gaze lifting, left foot pressing gently to the mat. Left foot then springing through, back to a forward fold. It's all about the relaxing in the forward fold. Neck relaxing, upper body hanging over the legs. Then lead up with your arms, stretching them forward. They'll bring you up, taking them back as you look between your hands and hands come down. Inhale. Exhaling, palms press firmly together. Whole hand and all the fingers. Reaching and stretching your arms up, taking them back. So you've got that tilt of your rib cage to the ceiling, showing your armpits to the ceiling, your navel to the wall in front. From your hips, stretching and reaching forward, then down. Neck muscles relaxed, fingertips touching the ground, lined up with your toes. Left leg back, knee down, gaze lifts. Tucking your left toes, send your right foot back. Active plank, heels push away, knees lift, shoulders relax back. If you're feeling strong, you could then come down in one straight line, taking your elbows to the back of the room, or you can lower your knees, then your chest. Once you land, relax, then lift your face and lift your chest, shoulders up and back, elbows in close. Tucking your toes under, lift your hips to down face dog. Heels push down firmly, hands push down firmly, hips lift on high. So it's kind of a sense of everything's pushing down that touches the mat, and everything at the high point lifting up. So that's your hips. Push your hands forward against the mat, not moving against the mat, but as they push forward, that will press your shoulders and elbows and shoulders and armpits back. Maybe tilting your tailbone up to the ceiling, getting more stretch in your legs. Looking between your hands, bring your left foot through, take your right knee down. Lifting your gaze, right foot through, relaxing into your forward fold. Then it's that big arc up to the ceiling, lifting your arms, lifting your body, looking between your hands, taking your arms back, and hands come down. Inhale, exhale. Taking 2 more rounds, we'll take them straight through, we'll flow with the breath, making the moves smooth and seamless, beginning with a rest breath. Inhale, exhale, palms push firmly together. Inhale, reaching, stretching up and then back. Exhale, reaching, stretching forward and then down. Inhale, right leg back, knee to the ground, gaze lifts. Hold your breath, send your left foot back, find strength in your plank. Heels push away, exhale as you lower. Knees then chest, all one straight line. Relax, inhaling, lift your face and lift your chest. Shoulder blades back, elbows in close. Exhale, toes tuck, hips lift on high, hands press down and forward, guiding your chest to your knees. Inhale, right foot through, left knee down, hips relax. Exhale, left foot through, forward fold. Everything relaxes to the ground. Inhale, reaching and stretching up. Exhale, hands down. Inhale. Exhale, palms together. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, forward then down. Arms slowly down on the descent. Inhale, left leg back. Knee down, gaze lifts. Hold your breath, right foot back. Push the ground away from you. Look between your hands in plank. Exhale to lower. Inhale, face and chest lifts. Exhaling, hips lift on high as your heels push firmly to the mat. Inhale, left foot through, right knee down. Exhale, right foot through, forward fold. Inhale, reaching, stretching up and back. Exhale, hands down. Final round, inhale. Exhale, palms pressed together. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, forward then down. Inhale, right leg back, knee down, gaze lifts. Hold your breath, left foot back, plank, heels push away behind you. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, face and chest lifts. Exhaling, toes tuck, hips lift on high, hands push forward against the mat. Inhale, right foot through, left knee to the ground. Exhale, left foot through, forward fold, relaxing everything in the upper body. Inhaling, reaching and stretching up, looking between your hands. Exhale, hands down. Final side, inhale. Exhale, palms pressed together. Inhale, reach and stretch up. Exhale, forward then down. Inhaling, left leg back, knee down, hips relax. Hold your breath, right foot back. Our final plank. Exhale to lower. Inhale, face and chest lift, shoulder blades ease back. Exhale, toes tuck. Hips lift on high, guide your chest towards your knees. Inhale, left foot through, right knee down. Gaze lifts. Exhale, right foot through. Final forward fold. Big finish. Inhale, reach and stretch up with your arms, taking your arms back, looking between them, and hands come down. Taking your feet apart, turning your palms to face forward. 2 breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Wonderful. We're now warmed up and ready to go. We're going to be using a belt to take our legs through a good stretch. So if you haven't got one to hand, if you're able to locate one, if you don't have an actual yoga belt, that's fine. Any sort of belt will do that lets you loop it around your foot. Coming to lie down on your mat, taking your feet out to the corners of the mat, hands away from the body, your palms turned up. Letting go, relaxing when you get there. Again, this isn't time wasted, this is relaxing the body ready for the next thing that we're going to do. Letting the body take on board and benefit from what it's already done. So I think this will be familiar certainly to everybody who's here at the live class, maybe to you, many of you if you're watching the video. We're going to take each leg through a full stretch. Bending your knees, bringing your feet in towards you. Picking up your right foot and then looping the centre of the belt around the ball of your right foot. Once you've got the belt looped around, then stretch your leg out and rest your heel on the ground. So as we do this move, I want you to remember that if we try to go straight to the end game of a fully stretched hamstring, we won't get as far as we'll go if we take the stretch gradually, building it up bit by bit with lots of relaxation as well as stretching. So that's the aim here, is to get the most out of the stretch. So draw your toes towards you, press your right knee down so that leg becomes super straight, super strong and active. When you next inhale, lift that leg up towards the ceiling. So keep it straight. Once you've got a bit of a stretch, reach your hands up so you're holding a belt loop in each hand with your arms straight. When you're there, let your shoulders relax. You'll feel the belt pull firmly against your foot, and then find the first biting point. So take your leg back a little more until you've got a good level of stretch, but it's not painful. You're not forcing it in any way, you're just easing it back. Then we're going to use the breath. Every time you inhale, take your foot back a few more millimeters to your next biting point. Every time you exhale, let your upper body relax, especially feeling your shoulders relax. Taking that breath by breath. If you're looking up towards your toes, each time you inhale, you'll maybe see them move a millimeter or two against the ceiling. Now what can happen here is that you allow your tailbone to lift, and that will let your foot come back miles, but that's not stretching your hamstring. So make sure your tailbone is resting on the ground so that all this movement is coming from your hamstring. One more breath, another biting point on this right leg. Then pass both belt loops to your right hand. With your left leg, you can keep it bent, that will give you a bit more stability, or you can stretch it straight to give you a bit more stretch. Extending your left arm out along the ground. Keeping that leg straight, so maybe just drawing your toes down towards you a little. Then when you next exhale, slow as you like, take your right leg out to the right. The belt can slip through your fingers and your right elbow can bend so that your right elbow comes into contact with the ground. Your focus is keeping your left hip in connection with the ground, so you're only taking your right leg as low as your left hip will allow. If your left hip starts to lift off and your leg straight, you can take your left hand onto that hip just to persuade it a little closer to the ground. Any discomfort in your wrist, just make sure your wrist is straight so you're not letting your hand dip down to the mat. And then relax, just relax. The more you relax here, the more your leg will come down to the ground, giving you that fantastic stretch down the inside of the right leg, keeping your left shoulder blade pressing down. One more breath, one more relax. When you next inhale, bring your leg back up to the center. Reach up, belt loop in each hand. Find your biting point, so draw your leg back until you feel a good healthy stretch all the way down the back of that leg. Passing both belt loops to your left hand and extending your right arm out along the mat. Hold as close to your right foot as you can reach. Now your focus is on your shoulder blade. Your right shoulder blade needs to stay in contact with the ground, but your right hip is going to be lifting off as on your next exhale you take your right leg over to the left, rolling up onto that leg, so you'll come onto the outer edge of your left leg, and you're bringing your foot as close to the ground as your right shoulder blade lets you. So as soon as your right shoulder blade lifts off, you've gone a bit far and you might need to bring your leg back up a little to let your shoulder blade reconnect with the ground. Then starting to use your left hand to ease that leg up to the wall that's above your head. Keeping your right shoulder blade pressing down, maybe pressing your left heel away from you as you press your right heel away from you as you press your right hand away from you in the opposite direction. And actually it wouldn't do any harm to press your left heel away as well. Then use your next 2 or 3 breaths, the out breath, that's your chance to see if your leg can go closer to the wall that's above your head. Maybe also as you're here, rolling the top edge of your right foot down away from you towards the bottom of the mat. Taking one more breath, easing your leg up one final time. When you next inhale, then bring yourself back to the center. Reach up to take a belt loop in each hand. Ease your leg back to its final biting point. And then unloop the belt. Let your right leg lower to the ground. Allow your feet to relax apart for a moment. And then use your awareness, checking in with your right leg and checking in with your left leg. There'll probably be some different sensations going on in your right leg, having just stretched and moved it. And then let's do the other side. Bending your knees, bringing your feet in towards you, picking up your left foot, looping the belt around your left foot, stretching your left leg out so that the heel lands onto the ground. Keep your right knee bent for this first stretch. That just gives you the stability to really focus on the hamstring. Toes draw towards you, your left knee presses firmly to the ground, your shoulders are relaxing. When you next inhale, lift your left leg up towards the ceiling, keeping it straight. If you get discomfort in your lower back, then you might just need to allow it to ease a little lower, but keep the straightness. Reach your hands up, make sure you're holding as close to your foot as you can reach. Shoulder blades relax, ease your foot back to the first biting point. Really feeling that nice, strong, healthy stretch. No pain though. And then use your breath as you inhale, ease your leg back a millimetre or 2. As you exhale, relax the upper body, relaxing your shoulders. And this is the moment where we're getting a deeper stretch by coming to it in stages with lots of relaxation on every exhale. One more breath. Then both belt loops come into your left hand, holding up close by your foot. Right arm extends out along the ground. If you want to, you can stretch your leg out. Being aware of your right hip and right buttock on the ground, you want to keep that contact as on your next exhale, your left leg heads out to the left. The belt slips through your fingers, your left elbow bends. You come to that point where you're suspending your legs as close to the ground as your right hip allows, making sure your wrist is straight. And then relax. Feel the stretch down the inside of the left leg. If your right knee's bent, then you could take your right knee out to the side, or you could straighten it out, Barry, whichever you prefer. Maybe pressing your left heel away in one direction, your right hand in the opposite direction. So you really get that sense of stretching out all ways. And then when you next inhale, bring your leg back up to the center. Reach up, grab a belt loop in each hand, draw your leg back towards the wall above your head to its biting point. And pass both belt loops to your right hand, holding up close by your foot, left arm out along the ground at shoulder height. Your awareness and attention is on your left shoulder blade as you exhale and take your leg slowly to the right, stacking up onto the outer edge of your right leg, bringing your foot as close to the ground as your shoulder blade allows. That might be to the ground, keeping your right heel pushing away. And then once your foot's as low to the ground as it will easily go, then starting to draw your toes up to the wall above your head using your right hand. So I'd expect you'll be on the outer edge of your right foot as you stacked over and come onto the outer edge of your right leg. Using each exhale as your chance to take your toes closer to the wall above your head, maybe rolling the top of your left hip down towards the bottom of your mat, pressing your left hand to the left, your left heel to the right. One more breath. Final stretch of your hamstring in this twisted position. When you next breathe in, bring everything back to the center. Once you're there, reach up, a belt loop in each hand, draw your toes back to their final biting point, and then release your foot. Let your legs stretch out, taking the belt to the side, hands by the side of your body, palms turned up, feet relaxed apart. Again, checking in, there'll still be some sensations going on in that left leg having stretched it. So just being aware of those sensations, not judging them in any way, just being aware. And then for our core tonight, we're going to take Jathara Parsavatanasana, churning the stomach. We'll get ready for that, bending your knees and bringing your knees up onto your chest. Hug your knees in close, either taking your legs around the back of your knees or maybe around the front of your knees. Then once your knees have got used to sitting there, then hold them as close as you can, but take your arms out to the side. So your arms stretch out. See if you can widen the distance between one set of fingers and the other. So press your hands in opposite directions, then pressing your arms and shoulder blades into the ground as you draw your navel to the spine. And slow as you like, start to take your knees over to the right hand side. Your aim is to hover them just off the ground. So you're not landing them down, you're taking them as far as your core allows, keeping your navel drawing towards your spine. And then once they're as low as they'll easily go, draw your knees up towards your right elbow. So that strengthens the core work a little more. Pressing your left shoulder blade down. Seeing if you can bring your navel a little more up to the ceiling by flattening your back or more onto the ground. Then when you next inhale, bring your knees back to the center. Keep them tucked in close, navel to spine. When you next exhale, take them slowly over to the left hand side. Keeping your right shoulder blade firmly connected to the ground, drawing your knees up to your elbow, seeing if you can connect more of the right side of your upper back to the ground. Breath steady. One more breath, drawing your knees up. On your next inhale, bring your knees back up to the center and land your feet down. Taking a couple of breaths there, filling your abdomen with your in-breath, releasing the core. So we're going to take that then with the breath. You can choose how strong to make this by choosing how straight to make your legs. So if you bring your knees up onto your chest, with your knees completely bent, that's the lightest. With your knees completely straight, that's the strongest. And then you can take any amount of bend of your knees in between. Your aim is to allow yourself to do 5 of these, but at the end you should be feeling like you couldn't do another. So maybe starting with your legs straight, seeing how that is, drawing your navel towards your spine, shoulder blades pressing into the ground, and when you next exhale, slowly take both legs over to the right hand side. If your knees are bent, bring your knees towards your elbow. As you next inhale, bring your legs back up to the center. And when you next exhale, take both legs over to the left. Inhaling them back to the center. And then taking up to 4 more of those with your own breath. When your knees are down one side, make sure your opposite shoulder blade is pushing down. And when your knees or feet are to one side, be drawing your knees up to your elbow if your knees are bent, or your toes up towards your hand if your legs are straight. Beautiful, nice control there. This is all about control, keeping your navel drawing towards your spine. That's where the control comes from. And then I'm not sure if you've been counting. I've been roughly counting. I reckon it's maybe 1 more round. But whatever you do, make sure your last one, you're coming up from the left-hand side so that you're evenly balanced. And then landing your feet down. Stretching your legs out, bringing your hands by your side, palms turned up, feet relaxed apart, allowing your breath to completely fill your abdomen on the inhale, relaxing back down as you breathe out. And then let's move from here into a calming, relaxing posture, into shoulder stand. So bringing your hands in by your side, maybe just sitting a little bit on the side of your hands so your elbows really are super close into the side of your body, pushing your hands down towards your feet. If you have high blood pressure or don't want to take shoulder stand, then you could come to having your legs in the air, maybe taking the belt around them to hold them there. Otherwise, if you're coming into shoulder stand, when you're ready, lifting your legs, keeping that movement going so that your hips then lift and you bring your hands onto your lower back. You might want to do that with bent knees so that you can get a little bit of momentum. Once you're upside down and you've got that lift, then just allow yourself some time, let it settle. And with it settling, take stock of how that's feeling. If you feel like your elbows have splayed apart and you've not got control, then come down and come back in again with your elbows closer. Otherwise, just make the adjustments, maybe lifting your knees a bit away from your face and feeding your back down through your hands, or bringing your knees a little closer to your face and feeding your back up through your hands. Keeping your upper arms pressing down into the ground and making sure you've got some weight going down your hands to your elbows, as well as the weight going through your upper body, through your torso to your shoulders. The aim is stability, control, and ease. Keeping your breath going steadily. Wonderful, those look fantastic. So you can stay here, but if you wanted to, you could come into the pose of tranquility by taking your hips a little back bit to the wall behind you. That frees your hands to come down onto the ground, palms flat on the mat. And if that feels stable, you could bring one hand around and place it on a shin. If that feels stable, bring the other hand around. If that doesn't feel too stable yet, bring the first hand back and swap it for the other. That process of swapping hands will help you to develop the control. If you're in the pose of tranquility with your hands resting, with your legs, your shins resting on your hands, then make sure your arms are completely straight and just let your legs go so that their natural weight is resting onto your hands, making sure that you've got some weight on the whole of your upper back. If you feel like all the weight's up in your throat, then just lower your back a little more onto the ground, but don't come so low that you fall out of your pose of tranquility. So relaxing there, keeping your breath even. Taking one more breath wherever you are. If you're in the pose of tranquility, then bring one hand followed by the other back onto your lower back. Reset your shoulder stand just for a moment, upper arms pressing down, finding the balance, and then preparing to dismount. Taking your hips a little bit to the wall above your head, taking one hand then the other onto the mat. They are your brakes. Slowly then drape your spine back down onto the mat with control. There may be a little jump on the way down, and that's absolutely fine. Once your hips have landed, stretching your legs out. I don't think there was a single jump there from what I could see. Stretch your legs out, feet relax apart, your palms turn up. Taking some breaths there. Again, maybe just noticing what you notice. You may have a little bit of sensation in your lower back. Then we're going to counter pose with a little bit of bridge. bending your knees, bringing your feet in towards you, having a reach down, seeing if you can just graze the middle of your heels with your middle fingers. That shows your shins are near vertical. And if you're sideways onto your camera, I think that's maybe you, Martin, you could actually look and you could see if your shins are nearly vertical. You'll be pleased to see they are. Then bring your toes very slightly towards each other so you're a bit pigeon-toed, making sure your feet are hip distance apart. Tilt your tailbone up to the ceiling, that starts your hips lifting. Keep that lift going as you press into your feet, lifting your hips away from the ground. Once your hips are as high as they'll go, press into your upper arms. That might let you lift your upper back away from the ground. Keeping your whole upper arms pressing down, keeping your feet pressing down. If it feels comfortable for you, you could interlace your hands underneath you, pressing your hands towards your feet, and then maybe just rolling a little over onto your left shoulder so you can roll your upper right arm outwards and underneath, tucking it underneath you, taking your weight a little over onto the right and then rolling your left upper arm outwards and downwards. Then wherever you are, pressing into your feet, pressing into your upper arms, lifting your hips, lifting your upper back, keeping your breath steady and smooth, finding 2 more breaths there. Then a final flourish and a lift. And if your hands are underneath you, move them out to the side, starting to drape your spine back down onto the mat, sending your hips towards your heels. Once your hips land, knees onto your chest, arms around your knees, taking a rock side to side. Bringing your rocking to a halt in the centre, head to knees, knees to your chest. And land your feet down, land your head down, and come up to sitting, where we'll take a release for the neck. You don't have to be sat cross-legged, just sitting comfortably, taking your head over to the right, bringing it back to the centre and taking it to the left. Back to the centre, all the way right. To the centre, all the way left. And back to the centre. So we're going to have a little bit of a hamstringy day today. So the next posture we're going to take is a little bit of Paschimottanasana. That's a straight leg forward fold. So if you want to come to sitting with your legs straight, knowing that a couple of things that can be nice to do here is, one, you could bring a block underneath you to sit on. That helps you to sit up good and straight. And knowing that also you've got a belt handy. It doesn't have to be a block, as Barry is doing. It can be a cushion. And you might also just want to have your belt there so that if you wanted to use it to help you ease forward, it'll be there ready for you. Taking your hands then by the side of your hips, pressing your fingertips into the ground. And then with your fingertips pressing into the ground, I just want you to just take a little bit of a move forward and a move backwards. And just thinking about, where's that movement coming from? Is that movement coming from your chest, going like that? Or is this movement coming from your whole torso moving forward and whole torso moving back? And it can be quite good to be thinking about, are the back of your ribs, the bottom back of your ribs moving? Because that's what you want to be moving, rather than it being your shoulders and your chest coming backwards and forwards. So once you've got a sense of the whole torso moving in one straight line, come back to sitting up straight, maybe just pressing into your fingertips to start your torso moving forward, and then lifting your arms and stretching your hands to the ceiling. With your hands stretching then, as you next exhale, start hinging forward, keeping your arms lifted and keeping your torso straight for as long as you can, but there'll come a point when your arms start to need to come down. When they're halfway, press forward with your hands, getting another reach forward, and then allow your hands to drift down to wherever they've come to for you. So you might be near your toes, your ankles, your shins, or your knees. If you are nearing your knees, then that's where you might find it nice if you've got it set up to take a belt and use that to draw yourself forward. Or if you've got your hands taking a hold of toes, ankles, or shins, again you can take a gentle hold and use them to ease you forward. Using your breath so that as you inhale, you bring your whole torso and the back of your ribs towards your toes. And as you exhale, you let your upper body relax down over your legs. And that's where, as you then let your upper body relax down, that's fine to let your chest lower, maybe letting your neck muscles relax so that your head relaxes down to the ground. So this is very much a feel of easing and relaxing, not in any way a sense of pulling and forcing. Because the moment you pull and force, your legs will automatically tense and tighten. The more you cajole, the more you relax, the more they'll loosen and lengthen. 2 more good breaths here. Inhaling, easing forward. Exhaling, relaxing down. Then hold everything still except your head looking up to your toes. Reaching your arms forward, letting go of your belt if you've got one. Have an exhale where you press forward and a big inhale lifting up. Exhale, lower your hands. Wonderful. We'll take a counter posture. So if you're sitting on a block, you could move that out to the side and bring your hands behind you, ready for Purvottanasana, the inclined plane. Knowing that if your wrists aren't going to enjoy this, you could come onto your elbows. And if you're finding it a little bit strong when we lift, you could bend your knees. So hands where you want them to be. Traditionally, fingertips pointing away, but if it feels to you like your wrists would prefer your fingertips pointing towards you or out to the side, that's fine. Pressing into your hands so your chest lifts. Then as you next inhale, lift your hips away from the mat. So you're straightening your body, sending your soles of your feet down towards the ground. Pressing your arms down, lifting your hips, taking your shoulders back, just looking up towards the ceiling so your neck comes into line with your spine. Taking this with bent knees if this is stronger than you need. One more breath, one more lift. And then exhaling, lowering your hips back down. Once your hips have landed, sitting up and taking a rotate of your wrists. You all right there, Martin? Yeah, it can be strong on the wrists. It's a good loading of the wrists, but you don't want to overdo it. Wonderful. So from there, let's bring ourselves into a twist. And then we're going to come to our standing postures. No, let's not, sorry. I'm just looking at the time. The time always goes by so fast. Let's take our back work. So let's come onto our fronts, preparing ourselves to stretch and work the back. So lying down on your front, bringing your hands underneath your shoulders so that the tips of your fingers line up to the top of your shoulders, letting your forehead rest on the mat for a moment. So we'll activate the shoulders. So with your forehead resting on the ground, take your shoulders up to the ceiling and down towards your feet. So it's that up and back activation. Next inhale, lift your gaze, look directly forward along the ground. Next inhale, slowly lifting your chest, hands relax on the ground. Your shoulder blades come back, your elbows come in close. Your hands pull back against the mat, but they don't move, they simply help your chest ease forward. One more breath, then exhaling, lower your forehead back down to the mat. We'll take 2 more of those. Shoulders up and back, then when you next inhale, lift your face, look forward. And when you next inhale, peel your chest away from the mat, looking up, hands just relaxing on the mat. All this lift comes from your back, elbows in close. One more breath. Then exhaling, lowering yourself back down. Final cobra, shoulders up and back. Inhaling, lift your face, look forward. Inhaling, lift your chest, shoulder blades ease back. And then if you want from here, you could then press into your hands a little, pressing your chest forward as you take your shoulders back, just coming up as high as your lower back is comfortable to go. Then when you next exhale, lower yourself down. Forehead on your hands, so hands come under your forehead, resting your forehead or your cheek onto your hands. So we're going to build up to bow pose. Starting by stretching your arms forward and stretching your toes backwards. So you're making yourself as long as you can. Forehead rests on the ground. If that's not comfortable, your chin could rest on the ground. When you next inhale, lift your gaze, look forward. When you next inhale, lift your right arm, just get it elevated from the mat. Next inhale, lift your left leg. Stretch your toes back and your hand forward. Then start to see if you can lift your right armpit higher and peel more of your left thigh away from the mat. Maybe pressing your left hand and right leg down into the ground to help you. Definitely keeping your breath going steadily. Taking one more breath, seeing if you can lift a little higher. And as you exhale, lowering leg and lowering arm and resting chin or forehead on the ground. Stretching long, hands forward, toes back. Next inhale, looking forward. Next inhale, left arm lifts. Next inhale, right leg lifts. Then seeing if you can just lift your armpit higher. Maybe pressing your right hip crease firmly down to help your right thigh lift away from the ground. Keeping your gaze just looking forward in front of you just a little. Your breath steady, seeing if you can lift your left armpit and your right leg a little higher. Exhaling, lowering leg, then arm. Bringing your hands underneath your forehead and resting your forehead onto your hands. So being aware of how your back's feeling, we're going to take both arms, both legs, and then bow pose. If you're feeling like your back has done enough, you could take one arm, one leg again. You'll get a chance to even it out, or you could take a cobra, or you could rest this out. So if you're taking one side or both, then stretch your arms in front of you, stretch your toes back, reaching long, forehead on the mat or chin. Next inhale, lift your face, look forward. Next inhale, lift your arms away from the mat. Next inhale, lifting your legs. Hip creases pressed down, and then seeing if your arms can lift higher, seeing if your legs can lift higher. So you're aiming with your arms to lift your armpits, your chest lifts. Keeping your hands pressing forward, your toes pressing back, and your breath as steady as you can make it when all your weight's on your abdomen. One more lift. Exhaling, legs lower, arms lower, hands underneath your forehead, cheek or forehead on your hands. So next it's bow pose, Dhanurasana. That's where we take a hold of our ankles, knowing that it's a little less effort to take this with the ankles held, but it does give you a stronger back bend. So you might want to rest this out or take a cobra, or do the other side if you did one arm, one leg last time. Well, so the next step is to stretch your arms out. I'm going to give instructions for coming into full bow pose. So arms stretch forward, toes stretch back, chin or forehead rests on the ground. When you next inhale, lift your gaze so you're looking forward. Bend your knees, pressing your hip creases down so your heels come in as close as you can. Bring them. Next inhale, lifting your arms and reaching your arms round and back, seeing if you can catch a hold of a foot or an ankle. If you can't reach today, then just have your hands stretching back towards your heels. From there, let your chest lift, letting your shoulders lift. And then maybe pressing your hip creases down, seeing if your knees can lift a little bit away from the mat. And then wherever you've come to, chest lifting, shoulders lifting, you might find if you press your ankles into your hands, that will lift your chest higher. Maybe letting you lift your knees a little higher. Keeping your breath steady and smooth. You might find your breath gives you a little rock if you've got an elevation of your knees. Wherever you are, seeing if you can lift your shoulders and chest one more bit. And then as you next exhale, releasing your legs, lowering your knees, bringing your hands underneath your forehead, resting your forehead or a cheek onto your hands, and letting everything relax. Wonderful. That was a fine set of Dhanurasanas, if I might say so. Then let's come to hands and knees to take a little bit of cat-cow. Easing that out, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Just while we take a moment here, it's hard to really put into words just how good a posture Dhanurasana is. Being able to reach back and catch a hold of your ankles, being able to take that bend in the back, strengthening the back and stretching it. Wonderful posture. So when you're ready, as you inhale, lifting your tailbone, lifting your head to look up, letting the back of your waist dip down. Then exhaling, head and tailbone tucks under, your back arches up. Keep that going with your breath. Inhaling, you're coming to cow, head and tailbone lifting. Exhaling, tailbone tucks under, head tucks under, you're coming up to cat. Keep that going with your breath, nice and smoothly. Releasing the back out. This is the universal back release posture. Useful any time your back's feeling a little bit tight or you've spent a lot of your day in one place, one position. Next time you're in cat, holding it there. No rush. Pressing into your hands, your knees and your feet. Arch your back a little higher, drawing your navel to your spine to help that lift. Then relax. Sit back towards your heels. Reach your hands forward, bringing your forehead down towards the mat. If your neck feels a bit uncomfortable, or if your forehead doesn't easily touch the ground, make a pillow with a fist or two fists and rest your forehead onto that pillow. Then adjust your child's pose. You could open your knees or adjust where your hands are, bringing them down by your feet or stretching them out or placing them one on top of the other on your lower back. Next 2 or 3 breaths, let them relax your body down towards the ground. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Press into your hands to bring yourself up. And come to standing, ready for our balance. So for balance today, we're going to take eagle pose. So we've done this once or twice in class. That's the one test. That's exactly the one. It's not one that I do the most often. It's a nice balance. It lets us get a good stretch of the shoulders. So bring your feet hip distance apart and let your hands relax, knowing that the more relaxed you are, the better your balance will be. Allow yourself a little bend in your knees, just a slight bend. Then pick up your right foot and cross it over your left leg. So you're aiming to stack your knees so that your right knee is a little bit above the left knee. So you have a little bend in that knee to help with that. Now as you do that, you can hold here, and this is a fine place to be. It lets you tap your foot down if you needed to. But you might find you can tuck your foot behind your calf. You equally might find that that doesn't work for you as well. So once you've just let the balance stabilize there, keeping your gaze on whatever it is you're focusing on, although you might need to look at the screen, I do realize, then taking your arms out good and wide. Bring your arms together so that your left arm goes over the right, taking them as far as you can so that you can then bend your elbows and bring the backs of your hands towards each other. Again, you might find here you could also bring another wrap so that your palms come towards each other. Just taking that to wherever is right for you. And then seeing if you can sit down a little more deeply as if sitting into a chair, and seeing if you can lift your elbows a little more up towards the ceiling, keeping your shoulders relaxed. That's where you get the stretch in your shoulders. Keeping steadiness in your breath. Seeing if you can sit down one more step, seeing if your elbows can lift one more step. And then releasing your hands, so you take your arms back down. These are now your wings, taking them out to the side. And then as you next inhale, lift yourself up, unhitching your leg. And as you exhale, lowering everything down. Wonderful. Taking a shake of your left leg. So it's a good ankle strengthener as well. Preparing to do the other side. So feet hip distance, hands relaxing. Just a little bend of your knees so that you can then pick up. Now, I think we're picking up our left foot. Yes, that seems to be agreement. Crossing that over, so you're bringing your knees good and close to each other. And once you've done that, you might find that you can tuck your foot behind your right calf. But don't worry about that, as long as you've got the legs crossing. Taking your arms out wide. Bringing your arms together this time so that the right arm goes over the left. Taking your arms as far as you can, and then folding your wings, bringing either the back of the hand to the back of the hand, or wrapping round a little more so that your palms come towards each other. Keeping your gaze somewhere on the ground, just in front of you, if you can see somewhere around your hands. Seeing if you can sit down a little more deeply. Seeing if you can lift your elbows a little more towards the ceiling. Keeping a relaxation in your shoulders. Our elbows lifting, sitting down comfortably-ish. And then opening your arms so your hands come down to the side, taking your wings out. As you inhale, lifting up, uncrossing your leg, and as you exhale, lowering back down. Wonderful. Taking a shake of your right leg. And anything else you would like to shake. And then we'll finish with a forward fold. We've done a lot of hamstring work today, so you can see how much that has stretched your hamstrings. So with your hands on your hips, taking a lift of your chest, and then as you exhale, hinging forward from your hips. Hinge and hinge and hinge with your chest lifted for as long as you can. So you're bringing your chest as low to the ground as you can. Then release, relax. Let your hands drift down to the ground. Let your neck muscles relax. Then take a hold of the opposite elbow with the opposite hand. So keep your legs straight. So we're getting a good hamstring stretch, unless this is uncomfortable in your lower back, in which case take a little bend, or if you hyperextend in your joints. And then use your breath. Every time you exhale, allow yourself to sink a little lower. Maybe just drawing your navel into your spine a little to create space, tilting your tailbone up to the ceiling. Final exhale, relaxing down, then releasing your hands to the ground, seeing where they come to, tucking your tailbone under, bending your knees, so that you can slowly roll and uncurl and unfurl back up. Head lifts last. Once it has done, roll your shoulders back. And with that, we're done, other than some final relaxation. So come to lying down on your mat, taking any clothes or a cushion for your head or anything that will allow you to be comfortable. Finding your best Shavasana pose, hands away from the body, feet out to the corners of the mat, palms facing the ceiling. Adjusting though in whatever ways will allow you to be more comfortable. So if your knees bent would be more comfortable, then bend your knees. Don't worry, Angelique, there's no rush. And then you just have to rest. You have to relax. So let your shoulders relax, let your hips relax, let your ankles relax, let your wrists relax. Being aware of the next 2 or 3 breaths. Allowing the exhale to bring the back of your body in closer contact with the ground. Knowing there's nothing you need to do the next minute or 2 other than rest and relax. And keeping your body still, gently guide your awareness and attention back. Feel your body against the ground and bring movement back, wriggling your fingers and wriggling your toes. Bring your legs together, take your arms up above your head, pressing your toes forward and stretching your arms back. Release that stretch. Bend your knees, bring one knee followed by the other onto your chest, bringing your arms around to hug the back of your legs or the front of your knees, rocking side to side, massaging out your back. Bringing that to a halt, landing your feet down, landing your head back down, and from there maybe coming to the right hand side for a breath or 2. Slowly in your own time, bringing yourself back to sitting. Wonderful to see you all. Nice to see all the sunshine outside your windows or streaming into the room you're in. Thank you for joining me, and namaste. Sorry if you're watching the video and it's a dull, wet day outside.